with probably our GOAT. I think this is pretty self-explanatory. Let's go to Ed Reed. Ed Reed, probably one of the highest legend scores that we have on, this whole series, I would say. Um, Phenomenal player, bro. I'm gonna say it right now. I think he's the greatest safety of all time. That's just my opinion. Max, what do you think?
Ed Reed was the best safety I ever saw. And we've talked about this in previous years of doing the show. There's not a safety now that's a ball hawk. There's guys who get picks but when Ed Reed got the ball one, it was like, damn, he's gonna go score that. And I know he only had like 12 touchdowns, which is still a crazy amount, but it seemed like every time he got a pick, he had 64 career interceptions, and it felt like, damn, he might have had 64 touchdowns because that's how dangerous he was. I mean, he victimized the Eagles. He had a 108-yard pick return for a touchdown on Kevin Kolb because, of course. But, he did things that shouldn't have worked that worked. I mean, watch Bill Belichick talk about Ed Reed, how he is the greatest player he never got to coach. And I mean, just during his time, it was a lot of Troy Polamalu stuff. But to me, we're going to put him in the top of S tier for me. Arguably, he might deserve his own thing. He was that special. He was that good to me. And this was the first safety I grew up with. Hey, I didn't really get to grow up with Ronnie Lott. He was a little bit before me. And I went back and watched him. But Ed Reed, it was just remember weeks, every week, just seeing him wow. And I mean, he was arguably the best player on their defense for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And Super Bowl they won.
One of the most memorable I love from Ed Reed is the mic'd up that he has playing special teams. When he's running down the field and he literally lays a guy out on special teams. That's like everything that you need to know about Ed Reed. Fast flying, playmaker. He was arguably Deion Sanders with the ball in his hands. That's the kind of vision that he had. It was dangerous every time he had the ball in his hands. It was going to be a touchdown potentially. And to me, everyone wants to do the Troy Polamalu, comparison and see if he's better. I'm sorry, bro. I'm Ed Reed all the way. I think Ed Reed is substantially better than Troy Polamalu. And I'm going to bring it up to this because I feel like a lot of people are going to go straight there. Let's talk about Troy Polamalu, Max. And then we'll both rank these guys with Ed Reed and Troy. So Troy, he has an 89 legend score. He has a great resume. It's phenomenal. Some of his stats that he has: 32 interceptions, 14 forced fumbles, 5 touchdowns. Definitely one of the greatest safeties, But when we're talking about this is one of the points that we want to do in these videos. It's yes, you have Hall of Famers, but there's levels to this shit. And I just think Troy Polamalu is just unfortunately not on the level of an Ed Reed. Now, Max, I don't know if you want to play devil's advocate or if you want to agree, play both sides. What do you got to say?
I mean, I'll play devil's advocate, even though I don't believe it. But just Troy Polamalu played a different brand of football. He wasn't the Ed Reed ball hawk in the secondary. But I would say this: he was a Tasmanian devil. A little bit undersized, made absolute ridiculous plays. No disrespect to Troy P. I mean, he might not be Ed Reed, but he's the second best safety from the 2000s. I think it's clear cut. I don't think there's a better safety from the 2000s on this list. And he was just a playmaker. I mean, there's plenty of plays where, he jumps over the pile. That's a Troy Polamalu special, when he gets the ball off the turf, just an inch on Phillip Rivers in the Chargers. He was dynamic. He was a great player for their defense. Just in my mind, his coverage stuff could be a little bit, he was more like see ball, go get ball, right? He wasn't just.
He was very unorthodox, and I feel like that's what made him great. It's because Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, you got to go back and look at some of these interviews when guys are talking about certain players, and when people are talking about Troy, no one really knew what he was doing, and honestly, he didn't know what he was doing until the last very second when the ball was snapped, and like Max said, see ball, get ball. He's just going to make a play.
Let me ask you this, because you said Ed Reed's so if you put Troy P in Ed Reed's role, to do that stuff, you'd be it's not nearly as good, right?
No.
I feel like if you put Ed Reed and told him to play with his hair on fire, he would do a better job of playing like Troy Polamalu than Troy Polamalu could play like Ed Reed. Yeah. And that's the difference to me. Yeah. Troy P's an amazing safety. Yeah. Arguably S tier. Now, this is where it gets hairy for me because, I mean, Ed's going in the top of the list.
Yes.
I mean, it's him or one other guy, to me,
Right.
would be the greatest safety.
Yeah.
It's just about where would you put Troy? Would you put him at the top of A or the bottom of S?
I would definitely put him in A. Like you said, we can mix match once we start getting these guys, in there. But I'm first reaction, he's A. I don't think he's on the level of S. Great player, but he's just not there. I
I don't
think
think
Ed
there's
Reed.
going to be many guys that are in S, to be honest. I think there's only a couple names.
Big dreams, everything ain't what it seems. Glittering gold, both clean. Not on my team. This organic.